Hi, I'm Dr. Helen Langstaff and I'm the Programme Lead for Forensic Anthropology, and I'm joined today by my colleague Dr. Claire Lamb, who's the Programme Lead for Anatomical Sciences. Just so you know, we're going to take you through a bit of a presentation about what the courses involve. Hopefully we'll answer a number of your questions as part of that, but please do put any questions you've got into the Q&A, and we will be typing away during this and trying to answer as many of those as we can. So I'd love to answer your questions. Please don't feel like you can't answer questions. There's no silly questions either. Some of them hopefully we will cover. As I say, we know the same questions come up each time, but please do put them in there to try and help you. Someone else will have exactly the same question as you have as well. So it's great that you could join us today. This video will be available later for you to view as well, so if you miss something, don't worry. You can log back onto VFair later and catch up on anything that you missed and kind of go over it again if you need to, or if someone else wants to view it, maybe your parents want to have a look at something as well. So it's always a great kind of resource to go back to. Obviously, we've got all our websites and there's links to all of our social media at the end of this as well. So if you want to get any more information on this, you're more than welcome. And you can contact us directly as well. So if you're on the course pages, you can find myself, my details, and Dr. Lamb's details. And please do just send us an email if you've got any questions. We'd be more than happy to answer any questions that come up after today if you forget to ask them, or they come up later while you're thinking through your choices that you're going to be making. One of the first things to say is we know we have a number of applicants often who apply for both of our courses and you don't know which one to choose. The first thing to address before we go into any of this is don't worry. It doesn't matter, basically. They're sister programs, and for the first 3 years they run together. So if you're a bit concerned and you've maybe put in an application for both and you're not sure which one to kind of put at the top of your list or anything like that, just go with whichever one you're feeling at the moment, and there's lots of opportunity, as we'll explain in the presentation, for you to swap between those degrees. But in terms of entry and in terms of acceptance, it's a level for both of them. So you're not going to get accepted to one and not the other. So don't worry which one you apply for. As I said, we'll take you through this presentation, which tells you a little bit about the school that we're part of, our centre here, and then the degrees in more detail. But as I said, please do ask any questions that you have that crop up during the presentation, and we'll try and answer them as best we can. As CAHID, we're part of the School of Science and Engineering, and it's a wonderful school to be in. So that includes computing, lots of different engineering, so civil, mechanical, biomedical engineering, and physics and mathematics as well. And apart from being part of that wider school, it also enables us to do lots of interdisciplinary teaching. So we combine lots of different things across school, and there's lots of school-wide activities that go on as well. So as well as being part of CAHID, the Centre for Anatomy and Human Identification, you get to be part of that wider school and get involved in all the different things that are going on within that school. So it's a really great place to be based, and there's lots of exciting things going on. And as a school itself, it's got really amazing research happening and really good levels of teaching as well. So it's a great place to be. So welcome to the Centre for Anatomy and Human Identification, otherwise known as CAHID. Within the University of Dundee, we're split over 2 sites within campus. We work within the Medical Sciences Institute, where our anatomy and our forensic anthropology are based, and also in DJ CAD, where our medical artists and forensic artists have their studios. We link to the rest of the School of Science and Engineering and work with them on a number of projects and areas, but we also link with the School of Life Sciences, which is where undergrads spend the first 2 years studying. Our medical students and dental students also come through our department to learn their anatomical skills with our staff. The staff in CAHID are highly experienced in a number of different areas. Developmental juvenile osteology, so the growth and development of bones in young individuals. Human identification, so how we identify remains so we're able to hand them back to loved ones. Forensic anthropology and archaeology. Craniofacial identification, and the vast and wide area of anatomy. A number of our staff are accredited by the Royal Anthropological Institute and are CAHID's active practitioners.
We also have members who are Fellows of the Higher Education Authority. As well as all the specialisms that our staff are involved in, they're obviously all involved in teaching, and teaching is a really important thing for the University of Dundee. We really credit ourselves on the level of teaching we manage to provide, and we've been awarded gold in the Teaching Excellence Framework, and are incredibly focused on improving our teaching, updating teaching to include lots of digital technologies and things like that. So specifically within CAHID over the last year or so, we've been increasing the amount of teaching we have available online, but not to the detriment of the students. So we've been able to create 3D models of anatomical specimens and things like that, which we're able to use in our teaching. And it also allows students to be able to learn not just when they're in the lab, but be able to learn from home as well. We also do quite a lot of research into teaching itself. So we've been researching as a centre, looking at whether or not digital anatomical teaching is better than hands-on, or which ones help students to learn best. And so that's a current ongoing research that hopefully you'll be able to be part of when you join us at CAHID. Within the centre, we have lots of different facilities available for students. The next few videos will take you through some of the spaces that are available and some of the places that students learn whilst they're with us. This is our dissection room. This room can hold about 100 students at a time, and it's where our students spend most of their third year doing full body dissection. As you can see, each table has a computer screen at the top, and that's where the instructions for your dissection are held, and you work as small groups, 2 to 3, sometimes 4 students at any one table. This is our mortuary, and this is where our donor bodies first come into the facility, and this is where they're prepped and embalmed, ready for teaching, either for the anatomy students or our medical students, or for the number of courses that we run. This is Fatal, our forensic anthropology teaching lab, and it's in this space that all the dry bone work is conducted. So students are able to do self-study and have labs in here for all of our, using all our skeletal collections. It's also quite a usable space, so we have lots of meetings and presentations and things in this space as well. This is where students are able to obviously get hands-on, and they can have self-study time here as well. We're able to put out material for students to use for extra revision purposes and things like that. It's a wonderful space that we can have both our animal collections used in, as well as our human adult collection, and our juvenile collection as well can be used in this space. And this is our newly opened flexible teaching space. As you can see, it's fully kitted out to enable a wide variety of things to be able to take place in here. So this is used for lots of external courses, be that surgical courses and things like that, but also just our general teaching. And it comes with an interactive suite, so all of the computers on the side can be linked together, so students can work in group work, which can be shared around the room as well. So it's a great space for everyone. To enable students to learn in a practical and hands-on way, we have lots of different things available to them. We've got plastic anatomical specimens, plastinated specimens, as well as the teal embalmed bodies. The Shoei Juvenile collection is an amazing and rare collection of bones. These go from fetal bones right up to adulthood and enable students to work and look at textbooks that are written based on these collections. The adult skeletal collection we have is immense. We have up to what we believe is 1,000 individuals in all sorts of different forms. This is individual bones as well as grouped bones, so students can study a whole person at a time. Our comparative skeletal collection consists of a number of domestic animals, so students are able to identify and try and figure out what animals are and work out what the difference is between human and animal remains for identification purposes. The following video will just show you a little bit more about the teal method, how we embalm our bodies, and you'll be able to see a bit more of our facilities and hear from students who work on the bodies themselves.
Embalming is when you preserve a body so that it doesn't deteriorate when you're working on it. And most embalming systems in the world use formalin or something similar to formalin, which makes the bodies very stiff. So they're very difficult to move. Teal is what we call a soft fix embalming method. So it's one of the methods that allows the body to remain very flexible. So when you're actually using these bodies, you're able to move them much more effectively, and that's one of the major advantages. You're also able to see the colours much better, so the actual colours are retained. Again, formalin tends to make everything a sort of pinky grey colour, so it's much more effective to be able to recognise the structures, for example, using this method. The cadavers are fully flexible, which means that joints can be manipulated in a way that reflects real human movement. Joints can be flexed, extended or rotated. The textures and colours of internal structures are maintained. Also, structures like tendons can be moved to show their function. For example, tendons in the hand can be used to move fingers.
The TL is the best learning resource because it's very lifelike, it's flexible, you can move the cadaver around and see how it actually works when the person was actually alive. It's just a normal living body, but it's not. So it's definitely better learning resource for any students who's looking forward to going into anatomy or medical field.
They're called the silent teachers for a reason, which is that they teach us something that's very difficult to put into words, I think, unless you've done it and you've spent your Tuesday morning doing that. So I think that when I graduate from Dundee, I'm going to have knowledge that really very few other graduates have, because I've actually had this opportunity to dissect a human body.
I guess you see it more like a living textbook. You don't see it as a person. Yes, you do suddenly sometimes realize, oh, this is someone's relative that I'm working on, so you do get a bit overwhelmed by that, but then you also think, they're here for you to learn. So I guess that's the thing that helps you to keep you grounded in your learning, I would say. Learning from a Theo cadaver, because at the end of your learning is a real person, and this is what our professionalism deals with. Keeping that in mind, I think it helps you develop your skills towards treating patients. Thinking, this is not just another problem I see, someone is attached to the problem, and it makes you more personable. But then it is also very hands-on, where you need delicate movement in trying to differentiate between the different layers of skin or different layers of muscles. So it helps you to train your dexterity, I would say.
The skin is very soft, so we get a feel of we are doing a live surgery. We can get the feel of soft tissues and every structure, and we can see the structures, so it is helpful for that. Means in developing surgical skills, it is helpful.
So the fact that you can do all these exciting things and we can simulate different areas of the body that look very, very realistic allows us to be able to test things and do things that you just cannot do with anyone else. So for the summary of teal, it's the flexibility, the ability to be able to do so many different things with what in essence is your one body is fantastic.
They gave their body for a good cause. That's what I want to do. At the end of my life, I do want to give my body away because it's a really good resource for everyone who's wanting to do this. I mean, we have to be respectful because they gave their life away for this, for a better future for everyone.
As you heard in that last video, our body donation programme is one of the most important things we have on site to enable our students to learn in the best way possible. Our centre manager, Vivian Maguire, is just going to take you through how our body donation process works.
The body donation programme has been in existence at Dundee for over 100 years. We take in around 90 cadavers per year. The age of consent in Scotland is 12 years to be able to donate a body, and there is no upper limit. We have no problem signing people up. It's actually very popular. A lot of people say they don't know anything about it, but it's actually very popular. We send out over 200 forms to people per year, and we have no shortage of people registering. Cadavers are used for teaching and for research and for anatomical education and training. At the end of the 3-year retention period, the university arranges a cremation of the body, and the family can elect to have the ashes returned to them of their loved ones if that's what they want. We also offer a memorial service annually, and all relatives and friends are invited to attend these services.
The BSc Anatomical Sciences and BSc Forensic Anthropology run together for the first 3 years. In Year 1, these are also joined with the School of Life Sciences, studying a number of core modules including biomolecules, evolution of cells, gene and hereditary, organs of animal organ systems, and a number of laboratory things. There are also optional modules that students can take. When students arrive in Year 1, they're allocated an advisor of studies who will be with them for the whole of their degree. They discuss with their advisor of studies which modules they should be taking and are able to go to them for any help that they require during their studies. This first year allows students to get used to the university system, how we learn and how it's different to high school, and also to make friends and fit in as well with life skills that they learn along the way. The average size of entrant is about 35 on each of the degrees, although during these first few years they're in much larger classes for lectures as they go alongside all the life sciences courses as well. Labs and research skills are kept smaller so that students are able to make friends and get to know their class teachers as well. In the second year, students continue to study a number of modules in life sciences, including cell signalling and metabolism, statistics and experimental design, biomedical sciences, and continue with their laboratory skills. They also move over to CAHID for a few modules. This includes Introduction to Anatomy, which introduces students to the human form, and Comparative Anatomy, which looks at the difference between humans and between animals themselves in terms of their organ systems and how they've developed over time. Until the end of the first semester of this year, students can choose to change degree to one of the life sciences degrees, giving students a bit more option when they come to university.
Hi, I'm Dr. Claire Lamb. I'm the Programme Lead for Anatomical Sciences. When you get into Year 3 of Anatomical Sciences and Forensic Anthropology, you'll be taught by CAHID staff within our facilities. And what we're going to teach you are the basics of how human beings develop, and we'll look at some of the microscopic and macroscopic features of tissues and organs within the human body. So you'll study embryology and histology, you'll study gross anatomy, and because we want our graduates to go on to various destinations, we also teach the basics of research methods that will be useful for study of anthropology or anatomy later on in your career. We're the only UK university to offer full body dissection using soft fixed cadavers to all of our undergraduate and postgraduate students doing our courses. You'll do 3 hours of practical each Monday, Wednesday and Friday currently, so you will do up to 9 hours every week of dissection of human material. You'll also have access to online resources such as our virtual microscope to help you learn some of the microscopic structures of the human body as well. Once you've finished studying in level 3, you can pass between anatomical sciences or forensic anthropology until the end of your level 3, so you don't have to decide what you want to do until you get to the end of level 3 and start making your mind up about what honours year you would like to take.
In their fourth year, the forensic anthropologists split up from the anatomical scientists. The forensic anthropologists come downstairs and look at forensic osteology. This is the skeletal analysis of human remains. They look at peri and post-mortem processes. These are all the things that occur after death and things that affect how a body might decompose. They allow us to figure out what might have happened to a body after death, whether it's been exposed to fire or different forms of trauma. Students also conduct an honours project. This can be literature or practical based, and students have a huge amount of input into what they want to study here. In their second semester, students look at forensic human identification. This is the classic thing that most people understand forensic anthropologists do. We look at whether or not we can identify the ancestry, the sex, the age and the stature of individuals to enable us to identify who they are so that remains can be handed back to loved ones. In addition to this, we look at forensic science and the law. This is how our science interacts with the legal system and how we present our analysis in court.
During your honours year for anatomical sciences, you'll start to apply the basic anatomy that you learnt in level 3 to look at functional anatomy of the muscles and joints in the limbs, also the vertebral column. You'll study some neuroanatomy, so looking at different parts of the brain and tracts and pathways. You'll look at some of the structures that vary between individuals and study some of the surface anatomy. And then you'll create web based package that could be used for teaching other people in your Applied Anatomy Topics module. At the same time, you'll study a research project where you look at different areas of anatomy as your final year honours project. You investigate those areas and you create a thesis, a report and a presentation about the information that you've discovered. During this time, we'll be using different assessments to give you a chance to practice some communication skills, to practice some of your writing skills, and also to practice some of the time management skills and organisation skills that you'll need to run a project, whether it's your honours project or whether it's projects further on in your career.
In addition to their main degree, we encourage our students to be involved in other things run by the university, specifically the Dundee Plus areas. These enable students to get a hang of business, leadership, and join our Global Plus team as well. Students doing these have learned all sorts of extra skills that put them above the rest when leaving and trying to get jobs in the world of work. The opportunities often come up where they can work with our industrial partners such as Medtronic and Microsoft HoloLens. These are looking at augmented reality products which our students were able to devise and come up with, and really enjoyed part of these activities. During their second year of study, students are offered the opportunity to study abroad. Students can go to lots of different places within the world, although most of us tend to go to Canada, New Zealand, Australia and the US. Students are able to study abroad and get a really good insight into different countries, how they work, and they can bring those interests back and tell other students about them. We offer internships within the university and with our partners. These give students a chance to add to their CV and have a go at working what it might be like in the real world. The CAHID Society is our student society that runs within CAHID. They offer careers conferences, an annual ball, and a number of evenings and workshops with lecturers and different members of staff. This is a really great community atmosphere as well, enabling students to get to know students on their course, in their year, and in other years around them. We know that when most people apply to university, one of the things that they, and especially their parents, think about is what will they do after they finish a degree. Employability is a really big thing for us, and we try to get as higher levels of employability with our graduating students as possible. Neither of our degrees are vocational, meaning that there's not a clear path as there would be in medicine for students to take at the end of their degree. Rather, our students end up in all manner of different places. From the Anatomical Sciences programme, where a number of students do stay within university academia, go on to do masters and PhDs and work within the university system. A number have gone on to be anatomy technicians working in mortuaries and laboratories around the world. Some of them go on to do medicine, whilst others move into the world of computing, to be able to teach anatomy through digital means, which is becoming a huge growth area, especially within medicine. And some go to work in laboratories and pharmaceutical work as well. The Forensic Anthropology programme as well has seen some of our members become professional and academic forensic anthropologists, as well as moving into the archaeology sector. Some have moved across within the forensic sciences and worked within the police as well, or the scientific officers and laboratory scientists. The biggest thing we try is to send our students out with as many transferable skills as possible. So all throughout their degree, they do lots of different types of learning, different types of assessment, so that they have as many different skills as possible, so that they're in the best position when they leave to go out into the world of work. You'll get a chance to ask us a few questions soon, but a number of questions that often come up I'll just cover now. Firstly is, can I enter at level 2? Yes, it's possible to enter our degree in the second year if you have the relevant grades for that. So please check the website to check if you have those grades, or speak to our admissions team and they'll be able to help you with that. It's a very personal choice as to whether entering level 2 is a good thing or not, as if you ever enter at level 1, you might find the academic side a bit easier, but you might need that time to get used to living away from home, learning how universities work and generally enjoying yourself a bit more and joining societies and things like that. Entering at level 2 can be a little bit more pressured academically for you. The other question that often comes up is, can I do an MSc at Dundee after I've completed my undergraduate degree? If you have completed an undergraduate degree in forensic anthropology, you cannot go on to do any of our forensic anthropology master's degrees, and it's the same for our anatomy programme if you wish to go on to complete our MSc in human anatomy. This is because our level 4 and 5, which is our master's programme, often overlap with each other. We have quite a lot of lecturing together, and so a lot of the elements you will have already completed as part of your undergraduate degree. This said, we thoroughly encourage people who want to continue in this discipline to do an MSc, and we really help them find somewhere else in the UK or in Europe or in the rest of the world where they'll be able to do this and where they'll gain extra information that they haven't learnt from Dundee along the way. This is something we do help students with, and we really encourage them to get some different experience from different universities as they grow through their academic career. Third is, can I go abroad? We've covered this slightly before. So the answer is yes, we do offer a study abroad within level 2, but there are also a number of opportunities that you can go on during the summers whilst you're at university. And while you're here, we'll send out any information about that to enable students to go on different trips abroad, some of which are fully funded and give students a chance to go and see all sorts of different and exciting countries. Please keep up to date with all the things we have going on in our centre. You can catch us on Twitter, Facebook and on our webpage. And please do put any questions you have into the chat and we will try to answer them as best we can. Thank you for listening.